You're listening to Paradox Eclipse Theory, and this is ParadoxChain. Sometimes the walls remember more than we do. If you're enjoying this descent into darkness, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with fellow wanderers of the void. Drop a comment below. Your support keeps the lights flickering and the signals coming. Now sit back, dim the lights, and let's baggy. I used to map tunnels, subway blueprints, abandoned bunkers, Cold War silos, anything that sank below the city. But the one I found under New Babel wasn't in any record. The air was wrong. The echoes came before the sounds. And when I reached the lowest platform, I saw a door that shouldn't exist. A steel hatch engraved with my own name, dated 30 years from now. My name's Elias Ward, Senior Geotechnical Engineer, Urban Depth Survey Division. Or, at least, that's who I was when this started. We were 6 miles under New Babel, deeper than any man-made line had ever gone. The ground trembled in slow, rhythmic pulses, like a heartbeat muffled under concrete. My team called it the breathing earth. "Ward, your scanner's throwing ghost data again," Malik said, waving his handheld LiDAR in frustration. "I'm getting echoes that don't match any solid surfaces. It's like something's moving behind a rock. Probably a density pocket," I said, though my voice sounded unsure even to me. "Keep logging." I adjusted my headset. The signal kept glitching, frames stuttering, audio warping. Every so often, I heard myself whisper stop in the playback. Except I hadn't said anything. We kept walking through corridors carved from forgotten strata, past dripping rebar and rusted support beams. My flashlight cut through the dark, catching glimpses of graffiti from decades past. "Watch the mirrors. The city below is a copy. We built our own grave." I remember thinking it was probably just urban explorers. Now I'm not so sure. At 9.3 miles below street level, the ground fell away. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, a hollow world beneath the megacity. The air shimmered faintly, heavy with static, and the floor curved downward like the inside of a buried sphere. Buildings, streets, skyscrapers, all buried upright, as if someone had printed the city and folded it beneath itself. Malik's voice trembled. "Jesus, this looks like New Babel." I finished for him. Because it was. Every sign, every cracked window, every detail was identical to the city above. Except there was no sky, just concrete ceiling, stretching into infinity. I ran my fingers along a street lamp and felt it hum under my touch. Still warm, but there was no power grid down here. "Base, come in." I said into the comm. "We've found something." Sending visuals. Static answered back. Then, a faint reply, my own voice. "Already here," it said. We set up camp near what looked like a subway terminal frozen mid-construction. A tangle of rail lines twisted into a central corridor labeled Corridor 0. The entrance was lined with mirrored glass walls that didn't reflect light properly. When I shined my lamp into them, the beams bent, refracted into impossible directions, like water flowing uphill. Malik pressed a hand to the surface. "It's cold, but it's vibrating." He leaned closer, squinting. Then he froze. "Elias, it's showing you." I stepped beside him. In the reflection stood me, but older, tired, eyes sunken deep like they'd seen 1,000 nights without sleep. The reflection raised its hand a fraction of a second before I did. Then its lips moved. "Don't go deeper," it whispered. "You won't come back as you." That night, I dreamt of descending stairs that never ended. Each step hummed under my boots, syncing with my heartbeat. At the bottom waited that same hatch, the one with my name carved into it. When I touched it, the metal pulsed warm, alive. And beneath the date, 2055, were fresh scratches, spelling 2 words. Still inside. I woke to Malik shaking me, eyes wide. "Ward, someone walked through the camp while you slept." He pointed at the dirt floor. Footprints. My boots. My stride. Except the prints were facing out of the tunnel. And I hadn't left my tent all night. We decided to explore Corridor 0 the next morning. Each of us wired for body cam. Comms synced, every step logged. The glass walls stretched endlessly, reflecting not just us, but fragments of other versions. Sometimes I catch glimpses of Malik in a different suit, sometimes missing. Sometimes me, walking alone. You seeing this? Malik whispered. Yeah. Think it's temporal distortion? I think it's something pretending to be. The further we went, the more the reflections lagged, until they stopped matching us at all. I turned to look at Malik. He was gone. His reflection stayed, though, still walking beside me, smiling. That was the moment I realized something about this place. It doesn't show what is. It shows what could have been. Or maybe, what will be. My scanner pinged. Infratime dissonance spike. Amplitude off the charts. Then, ahead in the fog, I saw a movement. A figure, walking slow, deliberate. Me. Older, dirt-streaked. Eyes black with exhaustion. He stopped at the center of the corridor and spoke softly, as though he'd been waiting. Elias Ward, Urban Depth Survey Division. How the hell do you know? Because I was you. He smiled faintly, and I noticed his teeth were bleeding. You'll understand soon. Every tunnel leads to a different us. Every us thinks they're the first. I raised my scanner. What's down there? Not what, he said. Who? Then he stepped into the glass and vanished. The chamber shuddered violently. My comms burst alive with overlapping whispers, dozens of my own voice, speaking in sync, chanting coordinates I didn't recognize. The lights flickered, one by one, until only the corridor glowed faintly blue. That's when I saw it, the steel hatch at the end. The same one from my dreams. Same engraving. Same impossible date. I approached. The metal hummed like a living thing. When I touched it, the door opened from the inside. And the air that came out didn't smell like Earth. It smelled like home. But not my home. Not anymore. When the hatch opened, the first thing I felt wasn't air. It was pressure. Like standing at the bottom of the ocean. Every breath came heavy, distorted. The chamber behind it wasn't a tunnel, not at first glance. It was a hallway that shouldn't end. Walls of mirrored glass stretching forever, each panel showing a world flickering like static channels. I stepped through. The door slammed shut behind me. The metal echoed like a heartbeat. Malik, I called. My voice ricocheted down the corridor, splitting into a dozen replies that weren't mine. Malik, Malik, Malik. Each echo came a fraction of a second earlier than the last. I ran my hand along the glass. It was cold and pulsing faintly, like a living vein. My reflection shimmered, a little off, a little late. Then, for a heartbeat, I saw someone else. Not me. Not quite. Same eyes. Same scar above the eyebrow. But his expression, blank. Like he was waiting for me to remember something I'd already done. The corridor bent, though there were no corners. Every turn led into another variant of itself, each slightly off color, red tint, blue haze, flicker of static. Then I saw what I thought were windows between them, each leading into another place entirely. That's when I understood. Each corridor wasn't part of the same space. It was a bridge between versions of Earth, forgotten drafts of the same story. I stepped toward the first pane of glass. The world beyond looked almost normal until I noticed the rain. Every droplet hung suspended midair, frozen like mercury beads. A car crash was paused halfway through the impact. Even the birds in the sky were statues. I leaned in closer. My breath fogged the surface, then disappeared into it, like the glass inhaled. When I reached through, the air felt thick and slow. My hand vanished halfway through the pane, like dipping into honey. A whisper came from behind. Don't linger. You'll freeze too. I spun. A figure stood in the dim light. A woman, dressed in a surveyor's uniform. The same logo on her sleeve. Urban Depth Survey Division. Her helmet was cracked, eyes wide but calm. Who are you? Version 42, she said simply. I thought I was alone down here. How long have you been trapped? She didn't answer, just looked toward the glass. Her face reflected dozens of times. They'll notice soon. The Watchers. The ones that copy. Copy what? Us. Before I could say anything, her reflection blinked, but she didn't. Then, in one motion, the reflection turned its head fully backward and smiled. The glass cracked from end to end. She screamed as her reflection reached out, pulling her backward into the pane. I lunged forward, too late. She vanished inside, her helmet floating behind the glass like a drowned relic. Then silence, just my breathing, and hers, still echoing from inside the wall. I kept walking. Second corridor, a city upside down. Neon veins ran across the sky, pulsing like circuitry. Buildings hung from the clouds, dripping black liquid into a glowing sea. My boots left ripples on the glass floor, each pulse lighting up for a moment before fading. It was beautiful, terrible, but beautiful. A voice crackled through my calm, broken and layered. "Ward, do you read? You're 2 hours behind schedule." "Malik." I froze. "Malik? You're alive." Static. Then, "You should have listened." I turned. Every reflection now showed Malik's face. Hundreds of them, whispering the same thing in broken sync. "You should have listened. You should have listened." My scanner spiked red, frequency interference, low band oscillation, then burned out completely. And that's when I heard it. My voice over the comm. "If you're hearing this, you've reached corridor-infinity. It connects every version of us. But something else walks here now. It doesn't wear a face. It borrows ours." I backed away, pulse hammering. The walls flickered, and the world shifted again. Third corridor. No sound. No echo. Nothing. Just the hollow scrape of my boots against a surface that felt too soft to be concrete, too cold to be flesh. I tried speaking. My mouth moved, but nothing came out. Even the air refused to carry sound. I started walking faster. Then I saw the markers, bright orange tags I'd left on my previous route. Only they were old, rusted, faded to brown. I crouched to check one. It was corroded, as if decades had passed. My initials, EW, barely visible. I looked up. More of them. Hundreds, scattered in patterns, each marking where I'd already walked. How many times had I been here? How many versions of me had left these behind? My reflection in the next glass wall didn't match my movements anymore. It smiled when I didn't. I stared into it, and it tilted its head like a curious animal. Then, slowly, it raised a finger and pointed behind me. I turned. The corridor wasn't empty anymore. A silhouette stood at the far end. Not human. Not entirely. It looked like static given shape, flickering between forms. Sometimes me, sometimes Malik, sometimes the woman from before. It walked forward, silent. When it stepped into the light, I saw its face shift in real time. An endless rotation of all the faces I'd seen reflected in the corridors. Every version of us. And when it spoke, it used my voice. All of us thought we could map infinity. It smiled. None of us made it past this point. I stumbled back toward the hatch, heart thundering. But the door behind me was gone. Just glass, endless glass. The figure stepped closer. Every corridor is a memory. Every version thinks it's real. "What are you?" I whispered. It leaned close to the glass, mirroring me perfectly. "I'm what's left when you leave yourself behind." Then it pressed its hand to the wall, and the glass breathed. I ran. Didn't look back. Couldn't. Every reflection turned as I passed, all smiling, all whispering my name. Elias Ward. Elias Ward. Elias Ward. Their voices layered until it sounded like a storm. I found a service hatch halfway down the corridor, half buried under debris. It looked old, older than the rest, made of corroded steel and covered in dust. I yanked it open and slipped inside. The door sealed behind me with a hiss. Inside was a small chamber. One desk, one terminal, a faint humming from an unseen generator. And on the screen, my face, not live, recorded. The timestamp read, 2074. I pressed play. "If you're hearing this," the other me said, "you made it through the first corridors. That's good. That's what I did too. But you're still thinking like an explorer." He leaned forward, eyes hollow. "You're not exploring, Elias. You're remembering. We've been here before. All of us. Corridor-infinity connects every us who tried to understand what we were never meant to find." I could hear something moving behind his camera, like footsteps on glass. Then he whispered, "It found us. It's learning faster every cycle. When you see the next door, don't open it. Don't trust your own reflection." The screen went black. Then my reflection appeared in the blank monitor. And it smiled. That's when I realized something. The figure I saw out there wasn't chasing me. It was hurting me. towards something waiting deeper below. The corridor led to a door that wasn't made of metal or glass. It looked like light folded into itself, shimmering, fluid, alive. The hum on the other side wasn't mechanical anymore. It was breathing, rhythmic, steady, like something enormous asleep just beyond the veil. My body buzzed with static as I approached. The air smelled like burnt ozone and rain. My fingertips crackled blue when I reached out. Behind me, the reflections pressed closer to their glass walls. Every version of me watching. Hundreds of eyes. All silent. Some looked terrified. Others smiling. When I touched the surface, the light rippled outward, not away from me, but toward me, as if the corridor itself exhaled. Then I stepped through. I expected another tunnel. Instead, I fell. No gravity, no sound, just infinite corridors unfolding in every direction, spiraling into light and shadow. The sensation wasn't like falling through space. It was like falling through myself. Every breath echoed 1,000 times, fracturing into versions I didn't recognize. As I tumbled, walls began to form, rippling, translucent membranes reflecting scenes I couldn't look at for long. In one, I saw New Babel thriving, gleaming towers reaching into blue skies. In another, it was ash, ruins under a blood-red sky. In another still, I was standing in a dark room, whispering into a recorder that never stopped. Every world an echo of choice. Every reflection a fork that never closed. And all of them connected here. Corridor-infinity. When I hit the ground, it didn't feel solid. More like a thought trying to remember its own shape. I got to my feet, disoriented, my flashlight flickering uselessly in the fog. The silence here was heavy, not empty, but waiting. Then I heard footsteps. Soft, even, matching mine. I turned slowly. Dozens of silhouettes emerged from the mist, all wearing my face. Different ages, scars, expressions. Some carried tools. Some held guns. One dragged a half-shattered helmet. We stared at each other across the shifting floor. One of them, older, gray hair, weary eyes, stepped forward. Version 113, he said, voice calm but strained. You shouldn't have come this far. My throat went dry. You're me. He corrected. I was you. Until I stayed. He pointed at the corridors above us, flickering with light. Every version that reached this place made the same mistake. Thought it was about exploring, mapping, understanding. But this isn't a maze we found. He looked around, almost in pity. It's a maze we built. The air trembled. A deep resonance shook the ground, echoing from every corridor at once. Reflections shattered, walls flickering like dying neurons. Another voice joined us, deep, distorted, but unmistakably mine. It came from the darkness beyond the group, crawling out between worlds. It sounded wrong, too low, too stretched. We built this maze, it said, to contain what's inside us. The older version beside me stiffened. And now it wants out, he whispered. The thing stepped forward. At first, it looked human, but only at a glance. Its skin rippled like film over static. Its face never settled, flickering between every version of me that had ever existed. When it spoke again, I felt its voice in my skull. You've all forgotten. Every cycle, every descent, you start over. You think you're searching, but you're only running in circles. I tried to back away, but the space behind me folded, walls closing like eyelids. The creature smiled. You think the corridors connect different worlds. They don't. It leaned closer, eyes reflecting infinity. They connect you. The ground cracked open. Light poured through, not white. Something deeper, a color that didn't exist above the surface. I felt my chest tighten, memories flickering out of order. Childhood. Training. Malik laughing in the dark. The woman's scream. All looping. All collapsing. The older version of me shoved a data drive into my hand. Take it. It's the only way you'll remember next time. What's on it? The map. The truth. Don't trust the exit. Before I could answer, the entity's shadow surged forward, swallowing him whole. His scream dissolved into static. Then it turned its shifting face toward me. You can't run from yourself forever. I ran anyway. Every step forward birthed 100 more corridors, each branching and twisting in impossible geometry. Time fractured, my footsteps overlapping in delayed echoes. Sometimes I saw other versions running beside me, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, until I realized they weren't running with me. They were running from me. The static creature's voice filled the air. We built this to hide what we didn't want to face. You dug it back up. The corridors around me began folding, closing like a spiral of mirrors. Each reflection slammed shut, sealing with a wet hiss. I spotted an opening ahead, a single steel door. The same one as before. Same engraving. My name. I sprinted for it, clutching the data drive. The light behind me surged, roaring like an approaching storm. As I reached the hatch, I saw the inscription change. Entry, version 113. I hesitated. My hand hovered over the latch. Then, through the glass, I saw a movement. Another me. Older. Dusty. Terrified. He looked straight at me, shaking his head violently. "Don't," I shouted. "Let me through." He raised his hand, palm flat on the glass, eyes wet with fear. Then he whispered something I couldn't hear. His hand dropped, and he slammed the door shut from his side. The metal sealed with a clang that echoed through the infinite corridors. The lights went out. All of them. Silence. Then the hum returned. A slow, rhythmic pulse, the sound of the city above breathing again. I dropped to my knees, staring at the sealed hatch. My reflection in the steel blinked at a different rhythm. I think it was smiling. Then, behind me, the voice, my voice, whispered softly. He locked me out. I turned. Nothing. Just the corridor stretching forever into the dark. Then again, CL. Ozer. I'm still inside. The rescue team found my recorder 3 days later, still running. You can hear my voice on the tape, whispering the same sentence over and over, even after I stopped breathing. He locked me out. I'm still inside. I wonder where you're watching from tonight. Earth, maybe? Or one of the cities buried beneath it. Drop your location in the comments. I like to know where the echoes still reach. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe before the corridors shift again, and the version of you watching this isn't you anymore. Stay safe out there. And if you ever find a door underground with your own name on it, don't open it. It's not waiting for you. It's waiting to take you back.